To change your transmission fluid, you're going to need to first safely raise and support the vehicle. For additional assistance with those tasks, please follow the link provided at the end of this video. Shown here is a new pan gasket, filter, and crush washer. Don't forget, you're also going to need a catch pan that can hold at least 8 quarts, lots of paper towels, and it's a good idea to wear chemically resistant gloves. The transmission inspection plug is located on the transmission pan, shown here and indicated by the green arrow. Remove the plug using a 5mm hex socket. Once you have removed the inspection plug, carefully unscrew the overflow tube, green arrow, from up inside the pan using a 5mm hex socket. The fluid should be warm, but the transmission and car should not be running while doing this. Once the overflow tube is removed, allow the transmission to drain completely. In order to remove the pan from the transmission, you'll need to lower the subframe 10 to 15 millimeters. This also allows easier access to the 2 T25 torque screws holding the pan to the transmission above the subframe rail and indicated by green arrows. Please follow the link provided at the end of this article for additional assistance with lowering the subframe. With the subframe lowered, remove the 6 10mm bolts, green arrows, and the 2 T25 torque screws, purple arrows, holding the pan to the bottom of the transmission. Carefully maneuver the pan out from underneath the transmission. You may need to move the AC refrigerant lines, green arrows, slightly for the pan to clear. Take care, as the bottom of the pan will probably still have some fluid left in it. Once the pan is removed, you'll see the transmission filter bolted to the underside of the transmission, purple arrow. Remove the 3 10mm bolts holding the filter in place and remove the filter. Again, it is normal for more fluid to spill out of the filter. This image shows the inside of the transmission pan. Remove the 2 magnets, green arrows, and clean out the bottom of the pan using a rag or paper towels. Remove the old pan gasket from the pan. It just peels off as shown here. Clean the edge of the pan and lay the new gasket down into place. Here is how the overflow tube works. When the tube is installed in place, it will allow the fluid level in the transmission to rise until it reaches the top of the overflow tube, green arrow. If the level is overfilled, it will drain out the top of the tube. When the tube is removed, the fluid will drain until it reaches the top of the drain boss, purple arrow. With the pan cleaned and the magnets placed in the indentations in the pan, you're ready to reinstall. Do not reinstall the pan with the overflow tube installed as shown here. This was for demonstrations only. The tube is somewhat fragile and can break if it snags on the filter during installation. Wet down the cork gasket on the top of the new filter with some transmission fluid and place the filter into position on the underside of the transmission. Once in place, tighten the 3 10mm bolts that hold it in place, green arrows. You'll need to access the fill plug on the top of the transmission. It's located right behind the intercooler and right behind the mating line for the engine and transmission. It is a bit difficult to see, so you may want to remove the upper airbox cover for a bit more access. In this image, we're looking straight down. You can see the T55 torque plug that seals the fill port, green arrow. Use a ratchet extension and a universal joint along with the T55 and remove the torque plug, green arrow. Note the entire airbox assembly has been removed from the car for clarity. With the plug removed, attach a hose and suitable coupler into the fill port hole. In this case, we are using the fill holes from the fluid pump, green arrow. The black plastic grommet at the bottom has been wrapped in electrical tape to seal it in the hole better and prevent leaks. Now you're going to want to fill the transmission. You're going to need 6 quarts to completely fill it. Start filling the transmission until you see fluid start draining out of the inspection hole. Then stop and reinstall the fill plug. The engine should be running after the initial fill when topping up. Once fluid flows out of the inspection hole, start the engine and allow it to idle. Add fluid until it runs out of the inspection hole. Shift through the gears, checking the ATF temps using a mini scan tool. Wants to be between 95 and 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Top up until it runs out once warm. Then reinstall the fill plugs once full. With the plug in place, start the car and put your foot on the brake, and cycle the car through each gear, holding it there for 5 seconds each. This will help circulate the new fluid through the transmission. Once you have cycled through all the gears, you'll need to refill the transmission. Shut the engine off and make sure the fluid being added is up to operating temperature. Refill the transmission until fluid once again starts to drip past the overflow tube. Once it stops dripping out, the transmission level is correct. Now refit the inspection plug to the bottom of the overflow tube with a new crush washer and torque it to spec. All that's left now is to lower the car down off the jack stands and you are done. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out another video in this series.